Welcome back to Our Issues Tampa Bay. In this next segment, we'll get a closer look at the current state of both the residential and the commercial real estate market right here in Tampa Bay. Joining us now is Jim Henning. He is a residential real estate agent, along with Eric Snyder, who covers the local commercial real estate sector for the Tampa Bay Business Journal. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Jim, I'll start with you. What do you see happening currently in real estate? What is the big trend?
Well, it's more of a trend that it's getting back to good business again.
Okay.
So far this year, there's been almost 18,000 home sales. On the other side, there's also 17,000 houses on the market right now.
Okay.
So basically, we have a 5-month supply. So it's starting to push over to a seller's market away from that because there's so much going on. On the downturn of that 17,000 people, there's 1,400 of them. We're over $400,000. So that luxury market isn't what it used to be. It's turned into, you have almost 14,000 or 13,000 people that have bought houses in Hillsborough County under 400,000. Almost 7,000 of those were under $100,000.
Wow.
So the market's changed to a lower price. Either the upper end jobs aren't here anymore, or the investors are buying it to get in through the foreclosure process and turn them into rentals because the rental market right now is so big.
Well, there's some money in Tampa Bay somewhere because, Eric, you covered recently in the Business Journal one heck of a sell. Tell us about that, a record-breaking deal.
I just happened to be going through the court records, and you look and you see different transactions, and we report on them. And it'll be 10, 12 million and so forth. And I looked and it said, I had to look twice, $122.5 million. It was what is it called? West Park Village.
West Park Village.
And
it's an apartment complex, I'm presuming.
Yes.
Okay.
An outfit out of Atlanta bought it. And it was an eye-popper, but it's only just one of many. There's been a number in the 50, 60, 70 range, and a lot in the 12 and 15 range.
Wow. So the money's coming in here for these bigger apartment complexes, but not so much residential. Is that what we're seeing?
Yeah, we're still seeing, you still get the stuff on Davis Island and on Bel Air and, South St. Pete on the waterfront properties that are still selling, but not to the numbers that they used to be. But predominantly, it's all the lower end things that are starting to sell again.
You mentioned waterfront properties. What about the insurance crisis? Are we going to see relief with insurance rates?
I think you are. It just doesn't make sense. It's when regular insurance companies stopped selling insurance, the state of Florida said, let's open Citizens.
Okay.
So we have Citizens Insurance.
Right.
Just to cover that gap. Well, the same thing's going to happen. The government's going to say, FEMA's going to say, listen, you know what, we're going to start raising your rates. The state of Florida's going to have to say, we're going to have to open up Citizens Flood. If not, it's going to shred our market because nobody's going near it. The state of Florida pays almost 70%, because FEMA's government, national government, we pay almost 70% of the premiums for flood insurance for the United States. So if somebody floods in Ohio or floods in anywhere, all our premiums are going towards that. That's why we're paying the bulk of it, even though we don't have as many claims as, say, New Orleans does, or from the Sandy storm and all that kind of stuff. So I think you're going to see a relief. They can't make it. It'll raise up shortly over time again, but it's always been. If you live on the water, you're going to pay to live on the water. So you're going to see a little bit. Prices, I think, will come down a little bit just because of that extra expense of flood insurance, but it's not going to be as drastic as everybody assumes. It's going to go up to $15,000, $20,000 for. Again, it also local, depends where you are. If you're on Paso Grill, it's one thing. If you're 32 feet above sea level in Clearwater, it's totally different. It's going to be based on locality.
Has the insurance rates, is that affecting, you think, these larger commercial sales at all?
Well, I reported that Lloyd's of London and another outfit are coming in and they're offering private insurance. Had you heard about that?
Yeah, very much so.
And that is mitigating some of the astronomical fees. I talked to a woman who had, I think her flood insurance was maybe $1,000, and it went to $74,000. Those are rough numbers.
Wow.
With the new private opportunity, it's down into more of a sane range, probably $5. So that's helping to some extent, but the brokers that I've spoken to are really still concerned. It doesn't seem to be as much of an issue in the commercial real estate with office and so forth. I haven't delved into it that much. It's not a topic of conversation in terms of flood insurance for office, warehouse, and so forth.
We talked a little bit about, prior to the show, about flipping homes. Tell us one of the stories that you were talking about earlier about flipping homes, Eric.
Well, I just happened to be looking at some reports, and the first quarter of 2014 were a very bad quarter for house flippers in Tampa Bay. Not Florida-wide, just Tampa Bay. They were making some very bad decisions.
Okay.
They were taking huge losses while flippers in Orlando and Miami were making major profits, basically because there was enough household appreciation. You're going to know better than me about this.
true.
There's enough household appreciation that there was a confidence amongst the flippers. They started overpaying for the assets.
Really?
And then they had to hold them longer, and they literally showed collectively, obviously some people made money, collectively as a group on average they lost money. And it was just if you look at them as a team, they got kicked around pretty bad in the first quarter. But I think they're probably going to learn. You can't overpay in the outset.
And Jim, you agree?
Yeah, most of the people, what happens if you took a chart of the last 20 years and took a house at $200,000 and followed what the market's done versus a $200,000 house and do a consistent 3% increase, which has historically always been in Florida. 3% of your houses were investment tools. They weren't money making. Okay, they weren't quick flips. If you follow that, and right now, some of the houses are below that 3% rise. I call that built up equity, where that's what those flippers were buying. They were buying those houses that were below the 3% line that they could buy because they still had $20,000 or $30,000 and they were trying to capture that little bit of money. But they realized that it's very hard to get mortgages now. You know, you got to have a 650, you got to have good credit, and that market's still not there yet. So they're ending up taking, instead of flipping, they're turning back into rentals because the rental market's doing so well. The flippers that are doing well aren't really flippers, they're more remodelers. They'll buy a 3-bedroom, 1-bath and turn it into a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. You know, buy it, spend 20 grand, and then put it back on the market. And that's how they're getting their money. And they're making
So they're
substantial
taking
amounts
a
of money.
smaller home, putting more bedrooms, more baths in it, and getting their money
And getting
back.
the money out all day long.
So
And they can make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per house on it.
Do you think we're out of the slump right now, the real estate slump? Are we almost out? Are we?
Oh, I think we're out. Again,
We're
when
out.
you see the houses that have sold versus the house that's on the market in the 5%, it's flipping back. That was best. You know, 2.5 years ago was almost a year and a half of inventory.
Wow.
Now we're down to 5 months. It's going the right way.
Eric, what do you think, commercial-wise? Are we out of the slump?
All the people I talk to are pretty happy. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of transactions, especially in apartments. And I haven't heard any doom and gloom in a while, but I don't think it's sort of, let's give the reporter the stuff that we want him to hear. I believe it's genuine. I think that most people are doing pretty well.
Really? Well, I truly enjoy reading your articles in the Tampa Bay Business Journal.
Thank you.
for taking time out of both of your busy schedules, being that you are busy in real estate. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your advice and your expertise. Stay with us. We'll be right back.